This episode is brought to you by CarterComics.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic needs, whether it be graded or raw. Carter Comics has got it all. All you gotta do is go to CarterComics.com, fill your card up with all their amazing comics. Use the discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET. Save you 10% at checkout. Not only on their website, but also at their eBay account. And the link to eBay can be found on their homepage at CarterComics.com. Again, CarterComics.com is your one-stop shop for all comic needs. What's up, everybody? I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of This Freakin' Show. It is the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. I mentioned on the last episode that I kind of wanted to dive into the debate that Trump and Biden had. And in my mind, I was thinking, like, maybe we could do it the same way we did the Chicago mayor debate. But the debate between Biden and Trump wasn't that great.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It wasn't even that. It's not even that, like, it wasn't like that great. It was like, it just wasn't good.
Yeah,
like it's what I expected it to be, and then some. And we can talk about that, and we'll talk a little bit about it. We're not going to dive into. I don't think we're going to go into in depth as much as I was hoping to do it, because in my mind I was like, oh, we're going to put all these things in place where they're going to have to do what they're supposed to do. And then
the octogenarians aren't sending their best.
Yeah, it's not. The vitamins and sauce at the senior homes aren't getting passed out in time and shit. It was bad. From both ends, it was just miserable. I was listening to it on my way into work. I guess yesterday, because it was Thursday evening, and I'm yelling at both of them to answer the question that was being asked. But we'll dive into that. We'll dive into that in a moment. I want to talk about about you and coffee, Joe.
Oh, yeah. So forever ago, my old auto drip died, and I was in the market for a new one. And in between, I had some French press coffee and a lot of nice mug.
This one? This one? Yeah, available at
Is that sale still going?
Nah, the sale unfortunately ended.
Damn.
But they'll have another one coming around. I also found out that TeePublic now sells hats.
Nice.
So we might be having some hats come out soon. But yeah, I got my Freakin' Society mug here. Enjoying. And to be honest with you, and I'm not going to take up too much of what you want to talk about.
Oh, you're good.
Remember, like, a while back, I thought there was problems with my Keurig because it tasted funny to me?
Yeah.
It was the smoking. Because this tastes like what I remember to be years ago.
Wild.
But yeah, I remember a while back, if our listeners remember, you were having issues with your coffee maker.
That's right. Yeah, it was the seal at the bottom of it that connected it to the heating element broke, and so my coffee was pouring back into the part where the water goes before you brew it. And I could have fixed it, but my wife was like, I have always hated this coffee pot. And I said, oh, well, then I'll get something else. And
what kind of coffee pot was it?
It was,
like, I don't want to give out brands and stuff, but, like, was it like one of those, like, where, like, you put, like, the filter in the top, put the coffee in it, put the water in, like, the reservoir, and it filters through like an average, like, everyday coffee maker? Okay.
Yeah, but it was like so it was, and I don't really care. I'm not, like, trying to badmouth it. It lasted 10 years, so I'm not trying to badmouth it. It was a Hamilton breed.
A decade of hate.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she hated it the whole time. I liked it. Mm-hmm. It was very convenient, but it was a Hamilton Beach Brewmaster.
Oh, okay.
And what you
so
do
it was
is
a normal coffee maker. It was an everyday coffee maker.
Yeah, basically, but it was like a tower kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it you had to take the whole carafe out to fill up the reservoir tank. And then you put the carafe back in and it would pour into the top, and then it had like a dispenser button. And so you could yeah. And the problem was, and the reason she had a much bigger problem with it than me is that I got to the coffee first, and I like my coffee piping hot. She likes hers a little closer to room temperature. And so by the time that she got her coffee, there wasn't enough water pressure from the weight of the coffee to have it come out in a good stream. And so it would kind of come out and then dribble down the side of the coffee maker instead of going into her cup. If that makes it's hard to.
No, I kind of see what you're talking about. Yeah.
So
I miss. I don't know why I don't have a regular coffee maker anymore. I just have Keurigs, but I miss having a regular coffee maker. You know, I loved like thinking about it a lot more because there was a period where I kind of just gave up on coffee altogether, and it's when I thought there was an issue with my other coffee, and I think there really was an issue with my other coffee maker. I mean, you were here, you tried it, you even said it had a weird taste to it. So maybe there was something wrong with that coffee maker, but the one before it probably wasn't bad. It was probably just my sense of taste after years of smoking. But when I went back and started thinking more about the apartment and living there, and I was like, man, I remember having my coffee pot, and I would set it up in the morning.
Oh yeah.
And I'd have I think I only did like half a pot. I don't think I did like a full pot because I wasn't drinking like an entire pot of coffee in the mornings and shit. I was just, a couple cups here and there. And putting Folgers in there and shit because I never skipped that. That's a lot. I did Folgers and I also did another one that I can't remember the name of it. It was like a very common brand too. I just remember just being able to sit on my deck smoking and drinking coffee. I was like, I'm assuming this is what adults are supposed to be doing right now and shit.
Right. There's nothing more than that I like in the morning than sitting outside having a cup of coffee. It's best.
I thought about before I got this new Keurig, which is a little bit smaller than the other one, which is fine because again, I don't drink a whole lot of coffee. I thought about getting like one of those Keurigs where it's like a coffee pot and a coffee and a single server on the same one, but they're still a little bit on the pricey end for me and shit. When you could go probably still pick up Hamilton's or whatever coffee makers for about $30-$40 and shit. So or any garage sale where somebody's still selling their their grandmothers and mothers fucking appliances.
Yeah. So and that's what I'm almost embarrassed, to be honest with you. I like coffee a lot. It's important to me to have good coffee, especially if I'm making it at home, because it needs to be, not significantly better, but I want it to be better than I can buy at Dunkin' for $4.
Yeah.
Because Dunkin's $4 now up here.
Yeah, insane. Fucking insane. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started researching like what's the best coffee maker for at-home brewing. And I stumbled upon the Techform Mocha Master, which is it's a classic coffee maker company from the Netherlands, and they've been around about 60 years. And there's a lot of good things about them. The worst thing about them is how embarrassingly expensive a new one would be. If you go on their website right now, you can look at them. They're about $360.
What was the name of it again?
Techform.
Techform. Okay.
Well, it's spelled with a V because they're Dutch.
Technivorm.
Yeah. Maybe that's a Techniform. I don't know. I just searched Mocha Master after I heard
Mocha Master. There it is.
All my coffee connoisseurs are like, yeah, it was my first coffee pot. It was great. I loved it, and blah blah blah. And there's advantage. What's nice about it? A new one, you get like a 5-year warranty. They always have parts. If you had to replace the whole thing, they'd send you a new one for like $80 if it was broken. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, exactly.
Joe.
But what I did was instead of buying a new one, because I just couldn't. As much as I've talked myself into expensive shit. I mean, I have a house.
Yeah. I got a mortgage.
Yeah. And I and as much as I could have talked myself into a new one, Maddie made a really good point about I would never use the warranty. Right? Because I would just, if I could fix it myself, I would. So I would just buy the parts and fix it myself because that's what I like to do. And so there'd be no advantage to having a warranty. And so I went on eBay and I found one for like half the price. And,
that's odd. Dude, I'm looking at the price on those things. I'm like, I mean, I know this dude loves fucking coffee, but I didn't think he loved it fucking $340.
That's what I was talking to myself about for like 2 weeks.
Right.
I was like, do I really want that? Do I really like it that much? And like, arguably, look, if I'm spending $4 a weekday on Dunkin', the thing pays for itself. A new one would pay for itself in 100 days.
Yeah. Yeah, and justifying shit that way makes total fucking sense, and it's it's one of the things too, like when you sit there and you look at the cost of it and how much you use it and stuff like that, there's probably a benefit to it.
Yeah.
But one of the problem is, which is, I mean, and this is where like people like our parents come into the mindset of nothing lasts like it used to nowadays.
Yeah.
And I understand that in the sense of like, it's like you go out there and you buy a $300 coffee maker. Like they don't expect it to last 10 years like your coffee maker did, because then nobody's buying the coffee makers.
Right.
So I mean, there's always, I mean, it's like fucking computers. Like when Colin was building this for me and everything, it's like in 3 years this is gonna be outdated for the money that's put into it. It's like, well, fuck, you think it would last a while? Same shit with fucking cars and stuff. Depending on how long you're driving, how much you're driving them, you're spending all this money on a car, but it drops in value by like a third.
Right.
The moment you drive it off the lot. It's like, like nothing sticks to the value, nothing sticks to lasting as long as it did. Like that's why, like, even buying these appliances, I'm like, I don't want to buy shit that has so many moving parts to it because it could just break down more.
Yep.
I don't understand why we have to live in a world, first off, why we have to live in a world where my oven has Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's nuts to me. I don't want to ever own anything that's smart like that. I know I'm not going to have a choice soon, but
it just makes no sense. That's like when I got to washer and dryer, like, yeah, I guess I'll just stick with the basic shit because I'm fine with that because there's less shit to fall apart on it. Same thing with the fridge.
I will say I could talk myself into a smart washer dryer just because like a little text to let you know that it's done.
Yeah.
Sounds convenient. I don't need it, but if it was the only option, I wouldn't be super mad about it.
Yeah, but you just have one that has a buzzer on it.
I can't hear the buzzer. It's too far away from where I am. So I have to set a timer. So it takes about an hour.
Gotcha. Well, the difference between you and me, I mean, maybe it's not, maybe it is, but the difference between you and me is like, it's like I throw my shit into a dryer and it gets done when it gets done, and well, that's where it's at.
Yeah. The dryer I don't care as much about, but the washer.
Yeah.
I hate it when it gets all moldy. Or mildew or whatever. If it sits for too long, even if it's just like one day. Well, our stuff is kind of older.
That I understand, but washers don't have buzzers on them. Like even my brand new washers, like the dryer, loud as fuck when it goes off.
Yeah.
I mean, I could turn it off if I want to, but I was like, yeah, fuck it away. I'll just leave it. I don't give a shit. Washer, there's no buzzer. It just, when it's done, it's done. It's like, but all washers, I think, are like that. I don't think there is any washers that buzzers on them. I don't know.
Oh, no, it doesn't. It just gets real quiet and then it clicks because it turns off.
Yeah, I have to quietly listen for the end of the rabid fucking spin cycle at the very end.
I don't know. I think I just assumed they all had something because like a lot of the newer, like the front load ones, they play music when they're done.
Yeah, some of them do.
A lot of the newer ones, yeah. My mom and my mother-in-law have the same washer dryer setup, and both of their washers sing to you when they're done. Like ba da 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 da. Anyway,
like Skype calling in.
Yep. But anyway, I'm very happy with this. The other thing about it is like there is a little bit of a learning curve because even though it is an automatic coffee pot, there's like, you got to stir it after the first 30 seconds to make sure that all the coffee beans got wet. And then I recommend personally stirring it at the last 30 seconds just to make sure that everything got saturated.
Wait, so you're putting beans in there, not the grounds, or?
Oh no, you grind it.
Okay.
You grind your beans, you pour them in, you press start. It usually happens. It takes about 5 minutes to make coffee, which is great. My old coffee pot would like take 10 minutes. It took forever. But you have to. I feel like you have to stand there the whole time and make sure that the grounds are getting equally wet and stuff, because it's almost like an automatic pour over coffee.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
I might need to fix it. Maybe it's broken. I haven't had it long enough to figure out, if that's how it's actually supposed to be. But the water never quite gets all the way to the other side of the grounds chamber, whatever you call that.
On this new coffee maker?
On the new coffee maker.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And so what I do is I there's like you can control the flow of water through it. And so I shut off the flow of water and let it fill all the way up, and then stir it real good, and then let it drain, and then it's good. But it makes a fantastic cup of coffee. It's delicious.
It sounds like it's not doing what it's supposed to do. From my perspective, again, I mean, I Keurig's for the last decade, but before that, it was just a normal basic coffee maker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you pour it into the reservoir that's on the back end of the coffee thing. I mean, my thing was like this tall. Like, your thing is like a fucking robot. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, mine was just like real basic. But like, in my mind, it's just like the water just flows in there and then it just flows through. Yeah, like, I never opened anything to stir it or something.
Yeah, so a regular auto drip coffee pot has like a shower head on top. It's like a round thing, and it just sprays kind of straight down.
Yeah.
Mine, so like you saw the picture of it. It has like that metal bar that goes across the top. That's where the water comes out of, and it kind of sprays in a pattern out of that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I don't know how old my particular coffee pot is, or like if it's actually. I didn't clean it before I used it. I just used it. And it seems to me like the water is kind of just kind of coming out instead of spraying in any direction. So I don't know.
Yeah. Did you ever think of reaching out to like a coffee maker manufacturer and saying like, hey, I'm a host of a couple podcasts and I talk about coffee quite often, and I'd love to review a coffee maker if you'd be willing to send me one. I would love to review it over the next like 30 to 90 days and see how it holds up and all this stuff. And
nice. I have not.
I know.
I thought about doing the beans. I thought about asking for like, can we review your coffee beans? But never a coffee maker.
Tell them that like I have a YouTube channel where we're starting to build more content, and we do a lot of reviews on foods and stuff. And maybe once a week or something like that, I'll go on there and I'll make like a 45-50 second short about sampling the coffee and see how it does, and it builds content for us and may get you a free coffee maker and coffee.
Well,
yeah. Why should everyone else get free shit? Why not us?
Right. And then you could just we could auction it off at the end or something, or
we could do a giveaway.
Yeah, giveaway to whoever signed up for our Patreon.
We need a Patreon. We do need a Patreon. I got a JFW Patreon, and I'm thinking about closing it because it's just like nobody really subscribes to it. Yeah, I don't think we're that big yet. I know you guys over at Geekcast Live, you guys are trying to get together on Patreon and stuff like that.
We've had it for years. We don't really use it.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're really good at taking people's money and not doing anything for them.
I feel like people are more focused on subscribing to like Twitch and shit nowadays than they are like Patreon. I mean, Patreon could still be big. I know for at least for what me and Jay tried to do over on JFW, it just wasn't working. And which sucks too, because we had like even like dollar tiers and stuff. Like even if you just contribute $1, it fucking helps us out. And and it was like we'd even shout you out on the show, and people didn't even want to do that. Yeah, I had a couple subscribers for at least a year which was really nice and stuff. And we did like birthday shout outs and made like gimmick profiles for them and stuff. But
nice.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got to that Patreon level. And I don't know if we ever would get to a Patreon-esque level, if we'd even do Patreon. It'd probably be more of like maybe doing like Twitch lives and stuff and getting subscribers or something. Just because I think Clint and them over at his Pixel Beard show, which actually I think he took a break from again. I have to find out.
Gotcha.
But Clint, if you're listening, hey. But I don't know. Twitch I think has become a really cool thing, and if you get the right fan base and you get the right entertainment of it, you can subscribe and get people like subscribing to you and make decent money off of it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no,
I heard of there's a person who just like dresses as a dragon.
I believe
it's like $1,000, like $10,000 a month or something.
Yeah, I believe that. 100%. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, most of it's like people just playing video games and people subscribing to them playing video games. I know for me, like it's like I could definitely get on Twitch and I could definitely play video games. I might be entertaining, but the two biggest problems with me would be I'd be so focused into the game I wouldn't pay attention to the chat or the subscribers, because obviously all of them like hey, Rocket Jams 32, thanks for this sub, or hey, Sophie19, thank you for resubscribing, and they do the shouts. I would be so focused on the game, I probably wouldn't pay attention as much as I should. Right. And also, I know how I play video games, and if I screw something up, I'd be swearing. And I know a lot of Twitch and stuff. It's like they want to try to, a lot of kids are on Twitch. You want to try to be user friendly as much as possible. But I know, like, if I go and play like MLB The Show on there and I strike out, I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I get to the point where the dog gets scared out fucking young, and he's like, oh, shit, what did I do?
No, my poor cats get freaked out.
Right? It's like, damn it. I get way too personally invested in it. But dude, we should look into that. We should look into, like, maybe if there's some kind of companies out there, even, like, startup companies of, like, coffee bakers. Like maybe it's just like, hey, I saw that you're a startup, or, like, what's those fan funded sites?
Fan funded sites. You mean like Kickstarter or?
Yeah, Kickstarter and the other one, what the hell it is. Maybe
like Indiegogo?
Yeah. Maybe there's coffee places on there. Like, or no, I guess those would be like before they even start up.
Right, yeah.
But something out there where it's just like, hey, listen, like I saw that you just started up. I do 2 podcasts where we talk about like everything that's going on in our lives. We talk about coffee on occasions, and we started up a YouTube channel over on this one. We get which, by the way, thank you for those who are constantly watching and subscribing to Freakin Studios. I think we just got 15 subscribers over the course of the last like month.
Nice.
So people are still watching the cemetery vlogs. Thank you. It makes me really, every time I go on and I see the analytics for YouTube, it makes me more excited for doing the vlogs in Michigan this year for the cemeteries and stuff. Like it's just incredible. And we still getting comments. We still get people who are sharing their stories and sharing their opinions and stuff, which is really awesome. So thank you for those who are continuing to subscribe and everything. Our video podcasts are starting to get more viewers, which is awesome too. I know watching a podcast isn't as appealing as is listening to it on a drive and stuff like that, but thank you for doing that as well. So it's really cool that that's still slowly growing. I think we're almost up to 300 subscribers on YouTube, which I know for a lot of people who are listening to it, like, it's like, well, that ain't much, like, but for us it is, and it means a lot. So we do thank you for that and everything. So but yeah, just like, if it's like, I'm not even so much for sponsorships, just something let's be honest, something you could honestly make easy, simple videos out of that we could put up as content on YouTube. And all it is just making the coffee and drinking the coffee.
Yeah.
It's
like drinking coffee.
Yeah. We should look into that. We should definitely look into something like that. Yeah. All right. I want to talk about the debates real quick. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of it. It's probably gonna be quick. It's probably gonna be simple.
And I will confess, I have not seen any of it. I've seen maybe a clip or two. Have you heard about any of it? I have heard about it. It sounded horrible.
What have you heard about it?
I've heard that Have you seen the Simpsons meme, old man yells at cloud?
No, I've seen a meme where Grandpa's sitting across the table from a hobo, and it's like, I thought I recognized you, and then he jumps over and beats him up. I've seen that one. A lot of memes came out from this, but no, I don't. I think I remember what you're talking about, but I don't vividly know exactly what.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it in the chat. I can't.
That's fine.
But just this, but you know, them facing each other. Copy the image, not the link, you butt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard Biden was worse than most people expected. He was exactly as bad as I expected.
Mm-hmm. Old man yells at cloud. Love that. Yes.
Yeah, and Trump was basically as bad as he always is. Which, like, if you like it, that was good. You know, he was himself. He was fully himself.
The one positive that came out of it, and I didn't think so their setup for the debate was obviously both men on stage, opposite ends of the stage. The camera angle for Biden was messed up. I think they 100% fucked that up, because with Trump it was head on, but Biden, it's like, and I know
like from the side.
Yeah, so with our camera angles and everything, it's a little bit weird, but like, so if Biden was on looking from the stage, Biden was on the left, Trump was on the right. And when Trump was talking, they had the camera kind of like straight on when he was looking. When Biden was doing it, Biden was looking straight on, but Biden was looking this way. And Trump was over here. So it's like he's talking, but obviously he's talking to the moderators, but the camera's over here and Trump is over here. So it's not like he's looking at his opponent. I mean, obviously the times he was talking straight to Trump, he was turned this way and doing it. But it was either this or it was this. Like, there was very few times where it was head on. And I think that sucked. There were points, like, at the very beginning, the very fucking beginning of it, I felt so bad for that man. Yeah. Because watching him walk up on stage, seeing it, like, I don't remember the last time I actually saw him, like, in a video or in person and shit, or how recent, but he looked so feeble and so different right now. Like, he looks a little bit more, I don't know if bloated is the right word, but his face isn't as thin as it used to be. It definitely looks more elderly looking, and I get it. You know, he's in his mid 80s. That's why I understand.
Yeah, he looks 82, which is how old he'll be later this year.
Yeah, so it's like, but something. I don't know the last time I saw a video of him, but he rapidly aged between the last video I saw of him and what I saw on Thursday. It's just, and
well, and even how he looked at the debate versus how he looked at the after party, totally different guy.
I didn't see the after party. No, I don't.
Yeah. He was like, it was nuts. To me, it was nuts. He came out of the after party and he's like quick and with it, and like you could hear him, like to the point where I almost wonder if they also had the microphone turned down too low for him for the debate. Because he was so soft-spoken at the debate. The few clips I've seen, he was like so quiet.
The very beginning, it and again, it's like that. And that's why, like, I felt so fucking guilty. It's like, in my mind, I'm just like, motherfuckers, do not make him do this anymore. Like, get somebody else in there, because it was almost heartbreaking. Yeah. And again, I think we're going into a November election, and I know a lot of different news and talk show hosts said the exact same thing. It's like there's not a good option right now. Like both ends of it is like really like deterring me from wanting to fucking vote. And I do want, I do want the orange man over the other guy. I just, because in my mind, 2016 to 2020 was better for me financially than 2020 to 2024, and I just want more money. But both ends of it, it's a fucking headache regardless of who's gonna go in there. I think Trump just got aggressive really quickly that I think he should have prevented from doing that. And I thought, anyways, so the setup was both men on the stage. Obviously, there was no crowd, there was no audience, no one was there but them and the moderators. They muted the mics when their turns wasn't happening and everything, which I was like, fucking good, because now they're not talking over each other. Now they're not yelling.
Crosstalk.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't time everything. But it was like you get 2 minutes to answer the question, 1 minute opposite rebuttal, 1 minute response. But then the last minute was like the discretion of the moderator. I was like, I mean, you're basically saying like the moderator will give you 1 minute if they feel like if you deserve it. So I don't like that part of it. I mean, I think they did fine with it. I think they allowed both. I think they gave, he's like, Trump, you got 1 more minute, Biden, you got 1 more minute, and stuff like that. I think they did fine on that. But I think hearing about it at the very beginning, you think like, I don't think they're gonna be, because
I watched the Daily Show breakdown of it immediately afterwards. I didn't watch it immediately afterwards. They filmed it immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
And I thought Jon Stewart made a really good point about the YouTube ad break where they make you watch it is 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The initial question response time was 2 minutes. So they had less time to answer a question than YouTube makes you watch an ad to watch them answer the question.
There was the one, and I think if you watched it on TV, I don't know how YouTube did it, but if you watched it on TV, and I think it was like I think I watched it on MSNBC. MSN, I think it was MSN. I know I didn't watch CNN because I forgot who it is. The shorter-haired news anchor lady. I think she's like, you could too. She's like, I don't think what people know. You don't have to go to CNN to watch it. You could watch it here, and I think it was MSNBC. So I watched it there just because it was easier, and I was already on that channel. They did, I think, like two breaks. And one, I think, was like after the first hour, and then one was right before their rebuttal or their final statements.
Gotcha.
Or whatever. So there was huge gaps. I thought they'd do it a little bit more to give the guys a little bit more of a break. I mean, they're 80-year-old fucking men up there, for God's sake.
Yeah, 79 and 81.
Yeah, it's like let them take a minute here, But one commercial really stood out to me that I was kind of confused by was I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically a political group for atheists and agnostics.
Interesting.
And I can't remember. I remember the ending of it. It's like the ending part where it's like join the party of atheists and agnostics, because they're talking about how religion is killing the world. It's too involved in society, and it needs to be taken out. And it was just really fucking weird, because I was like, I think if anything, and it wasn't like, I don't think, as far as I recall, and I don't have great memory, but as far as I recall, they didn't have any Trump positive commercials. They didn't have any Biden positive commercials. They didn't have any Trump or Biden negative commercials. So I think they did a good job on that, staying away from supporting one or the other or deterring from one or the other. But that one, the whole atheist agnostic group, I'm just like, that's really weird to have in there. Really fucking weird. I wish I'll have to see if I can find it, but I remember when I was listening to everything, I was like, I gotta make sure I bring this up, because that was kind of interesting. That
was it the Freedom from Religion Foundation?
That sounds right. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. It was interesting to see that as a commercial, as an ad. Another thing I didn't like was, which I knew was going to happen, just I didn't know it was severely going to happen, is there were questions that were asked that were, I think, at least twice it happened. Once, I definitely know. Two, maybe happened twice, is that questions were asked, and instead of answering them, they rebutted what the previous person said in the previous question.
Oh, the thing where it's like, I didn't get a chance to finish my last thought, so I want to start with that, and then we'll move on. The biggest one, which was ironic because we talked about it on our last episode, was childcare. But they asked, Trump, what would you do about the cost of childcare in the United States? And he did what I knew he was going to do. I think what everyone kind of assumed he was going to do. And instead of answering that question, he wanted to respond to what Biden said about him, about being a criminal and all this other stuff. It was like, he's like, well, I want to answer, or lastly, what I want to say is, and then would talk about, Biden said this, but this is what really happened. He said this about me, but this just isn't true, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And he takes the entire 2 minutes
to repute whatever the fuck it is. Rebut. Thanks. Rebut what Biden says about him, and then says shit about Biden. And then in turn, when Biden gets the 1 minute to talk about childcare, he, instead of talking about childcare, responds to Trump. And then when Trump gets that minute back, instead of talking about childcare, he talks about what Biden said. And that portion of it, I'm driving, I'm like, fucking talk about childcare. Right. Like, quit bitching at each other. And I'm yelling in my car, which I'm glad that I was on a country road and not the highway, because I probably look like a fucking lunatic. But I'm like, talk about fucking childcare. For the love of fucking God, talk about childcare. Like, everyone needs to know. And then that, and I think opioids was the other one. I think they asked Trump about opioids, and then he took, I think, 2 minutes is 120 seconds. He took 90 seconds of his answer to try to rebut what Biden said about him again. And then the people like, you have 38 seconds or whatever left. Like, what can we do about the opioid crisis? And the only thing he came up with, instead of, like, you know, clinics and stuff like that, it was about preventing drugs coming over the border. Those two guys talked more about the border than they did anything else. I think the border was a response, which is weird too, because they had two moderators. The guy moderator, I can't remember his name.
When it was Jake Tapper. I don't know who the female moderator was.
Yeah, when the border was brought up the first time, Tapper said, like, well, the border is going to be a question later on. It didn't matter because both people they both kept bringing it up. Border this, border that, border this, border that, all the economy. Well, it's because people are, coming over the border, and, we're financing them. We're putting them up in hotels. We're taking care of them. And then they go over, okay, cool. What about this? Well, with the border and all this and that. Okay, cool. What about this? Okay, it's like, we get it. The border's a fucking problem. But answer the fucking question that's being asked. And I get that you want to defend yourself. And I get that, Trump doesn't like what Biden's saying and Biden doesn't like what Trump is saying. But for the love of fucking God, all you got to do is just answer the question that is asked. Because that's what people want to know. Like, people want to know, hey, what's going on with opioids? They don't give a fuck that, that somebody's son is having laptop issues and somebody's being called a moron by somebody, or being it's like this goofy shit. It's like, like people who have televisions who are watching these debates either online or on TV, they know the shit you guys are talking about. Like, people remember the shit you're talking about. You don't have to go into details like, well, remember when Trump did this? Well, remember when Biden did this? Like, yes, we already know that shit. Talk about fucking childcare. Talk about the fucking opioid problem. It's like they had no problem discussing the Russia-Ukraine war. They had no problem talking about
golf. I heard they talked about their golf games for a little while.
They did.
Just like, that's really relevant to me.
It was so
really care about that.
I know nothing about golf. I go from time to time, but I remember I don't remember why it got brought up. I think Biden said something. I think they were talking about, they asked Biden if how he feels about people's thoughts or opinions on him not being able to physically do the job anymore. And he was talking about how, like, that he's fine, he's in great health, that he's capable of doing it. He wouldn't be doing it if he couldn't do it, and some other stuff. And then he threw a jab at Trump about him being, I think, out of shape, not being able to do it himself, and blah blah. And then they asked Trump. Trump got his response to it, and his response to it was like, I took 2 cognitive tests. I took 2 physical. I took a physical every year. I took a cognitive test twice. Everything came back perfect, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to see Joe take a cognitive test. I remember Joe challenged me to golf, and we never did it. Why don't we go now, Joe, and everything, and blah, blah. And Joe said that when he was vice president, he had a handicap of 8. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's fucking good.
I don't know either.
It sounds fucking amazing. I just don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they're more passionate. And I think Biden did challenge him to a driving contest with fucking golf. And in my mind, I'm like, don't do that.
Oh, that kind of driving.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, have a driving contest. When was the last time Trump ever drove?
Right, yeah, no, not NASCAR. Yeah, no, like golf driving. I was like, guys, don't do that. I don't give a shit about your driving. Tell me about fucking childcare,
Yeah, what I feel like is like I mean I know that I'm probably what would be considered a high information voter. Like I'm always reading what either of them are saying or watching their videos or whatever.
Yeah.
So I there was nothing unexpected at the debate other than like Biden showing up with a cold and being physically older than I expected to some extent, normally, and I don't know if they juice him up or if, in different environments, but like most of the time when they put him on camera, he's not out of it until he's done talking, But I digress. What I would have liked to have seen, because I already knew what they were going to say to each other for the most part, is like, I wish that they had both had to draw a clock on camera and then participate in an obstacle course. Like, I think that would have given us more information.
Right. In my mind, all I kept thinking about, like, this would have been, first off, it would have been so much better if they stuck to the questions that were asked. Like that, that was my biggest problem. It's like, I get that you want to defend yourself, but at a debate isn't the time to defend yourself. Defend yourself in rallies, in interviews, wherever the fuck it is, because those questions are going to get brought up again. But when it comes to a debate, like, show yourself that you're bigger than the person next to you, and instead of attacking them, focus on answering the question and giving the people. It's like, it doesn't matter how bad Biden wants to tear Trump down or how bad Trump wants to tear Biden down. I think that was the same thing I said in 2016 was you, like, these guys, Trump and Hillary were more focused on tearing each other apart than trying to build their sides up. And the same thing happened in 2020 with Biden and Trump. You're focused more on the negatives of the others of the positives of yourself. And 2024 just seems no fucking different. It's like, for the love of God, like, okay, cool. If Biden says shit about you, let it go. Talk about your shit and move on, and vice versa. Trump says something bad about you or your son or whatever the fuck it is. Answer the question that was asked. Be the bigger man, which neither one of them is willing to do right now. Just be the bigger man. It's like, okay, here's the answer to the question you asked. Here's an answer. Here's my rebuttal to what he said about the situation. Like, can you imagine how much better the person would look if he said, wow, okay, you were asked a question about childcare. You not even mentioned it once, but here's what we should do about childcare, because I actually care about childcare. Either one of them would have got better points for that just by simply answering the question about childcare and opioids. Like,
it has become my biggest problem with both parties since probably 2017, 2018, has been that they don't really have a platform. The Republican platform is Trump is our guy, and the Democrat platform is Trump is not our guy. Or actually, I think it's not even that simple. I think it's or not even that straightforward. I think it's just orange man bad. To be honest, and I'm not going to vote. I know how I'm going to vote, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, I really, it's one of those things where I feel like, I mean, again, I get the general idea of both sides and where they stand on certain topics.
Yeah,
like, I kind of get an idea of what they're doing, and I understand what they want to do. Like, I understand, like, the concept of where they both stand and what they want to do to make our future better, and I understand that shit. But a lot of it just, like, it's confusing as fuck when you get there and you sit there and they say, like, it's like we are in the best economy we've ever been in, and then the other people saying, like, no, we're not. And it's like, it doesn't feel like we are, but you're not telling me why this is better. It's like, okay, so we're in the best economy now because inflation hasn't gone up in 6 months, but it's also because it has gone up in the last 3 years. It's like from this point to this point it goes, but now because we're in a lull, now we're in the best economy ever. It's like,
we're in this weird. It's like a two-tiered economy. Like, if you make $100,000 a year or more, this is one of the best economies you could ever live in. If you're making under $100,000, if you're having trouble paying your bills, you're just fucked.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, where the idea of where we're at is the best. Because again, and I'm not pushing people to see my views on it, but from looking at my paychecks, from looking at my tax returns, from looking at the cost of gas when I had to buy it, 16 to 20 was better for me. For me, it was better. And I don't know what was different. I don't know what changed because I don't follow they can blame it all on COVID if they want. That's fine. They can say that, 2020 and 2021 and shut that. It completely fucked it up to where because of that, now we have to go from, $2.22 a gallon to $4.12 a gallon. And, that's why now eggs are $1 something to now $3 or something. That's why milk is, $1.80 to $2.40. Like it's, if we didn't have this problem, but they don't ever do that shit. They always focus on, well, if the orange man didn't do this, we would be here. But because the orange man did this, now we are here. But then you get the orange man saying, if the old guy who doesn't know what he's doing didn't do this, we wouldn't fucking be here. And it's like, motherfuckers, like, tell me what fucking happened. Instead of
I don't care. I'm at the
did.
point where I don't care whose fault it is. Yeah. What I want is to be able to afford to pay my bills.
Yeah. Tell me what are you going to do
about that?
Right?
And you got one guy who doesn't actually have a plan at all, and the other guy is like, I reject the concept that you can't pay your bills. And it's just like, well, you can reject it all you want. I'm having trouble paying my bills.
Yeah.
I'm not personally. We're okay where we are, but,
no, but
a lot of people are. I mean, I saw a TikTok the other day of a person who was going through his old Walmart receipts in the app, and he was able to show that like he paid $126 for his groceries that week, and it was like a month of groceries he bought. And he just for fun, he hit reorder all, and it populated the exact same cart, and now it's $400.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're making minimum wage or maybe even if you're making what minimum wage should be, which is like $25 an hour, it is very difficult to like that. Paying $400 a month for food is very expensive.
Yeah.
When you're only making $32,000 a year or whatever it is. And if you're making $100,000 to $250,000 a year, like it's not that big of a deal to go from $100 a month to $400 a month. It really isn't, because it's a significantly smaller percentage of your overall salary. Yeah. It's easy to cut back when you have enough to cut back to, but when you're already scraping by, it's very difficult. That's why there's so many. I follow a bunch of people on Twitter who Democratic strategists and things who are just constantly for the past like 3 years, all they've been doing is basically being like, shut up, pores. You don't know what you're talking about. You all have seen the biggest pay increase we've ever had in this country. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people went from making $7.25 to making $15 because they can't afford to work at $7 an hour. And so companies have had to pay more, which is to some extent how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're going from not making enough to not making enough, and inflation is, inflation was at 11% for 4 quarters last year. So for 4 quarters, the cost of goods went up. Say it was $1, it went up to $1.11 every month for 12. Every month for 12 months, it went up by not just 10. So so you go from say it's $1. In the first month, you go from $1 to $1.11. In the second month, you go from $1.11 to $1.22. In the third month, you go from $1.22 to now $1.36.
Yeah.
The more it goes up, the more it goes up, because that's how percentages work.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, when you're raising the interest rates, which is the only tool the federal bank has to fight inflation. Now businesses, because we have this garbage way of doing things, most businesses run, like big businesses, the ones that employ the most people, they run on debt. They take a bunch of loans out and pay their employees out of those loans. And then when interest rates go up, they can't take as much out because it costs too much to pay it back, and then you have layoffs. Yeah. And so that's part of what drives inflation down, because companies are spending less, which means employees have less to spend, which means grocery stores and things they can't increase goods as much. And actually, we've seen in the last couple of months they're finally lowering prices, which almost never happens.
Yeah.
But it's only happening because we've put the screws to people who are living off of debt rather than living off of the money that our work makes them.
Do you believe, let's say it was possible, because obviously, like you mentioned, like minimum wage went from like $17 to $18 an hour, and in the grand scheme of things, that sounds incredible, except for obviously the price of everything has gone up. So it's not like it changed the game. They just changed the fucking rules. Do you think if it was possible, if whoever is in charge, come January 7th of next year says, by July, we are reverting everything to 1940s. How much you made, how much you spend on whatever it is.
Yeah.
Do you believe that's doable?
I don't know if 1940s is doable.
I mean, I want you to think about those. Like, so we make what we make in 1940s, but we're buying houses for what houses cost in 1940s. We're buying cars for what they're buying, or even 1950s. Like, just then, I guess, like just even then, it's like this is how much you made, but this is how much gas was. This is how much a house was. This is how much a car was. This is what your groceries was. I always go back to the idea of my dad saying he could walk into a gas station with $20 fucking and get a full tank of gas, a carton of smokes, and still walk away with change. And it's like so we got away from that because the manufacturers of whatever wanted to make more fucking money.
Right.
And it's like Marlboro. It's like I can sell a carton of smokes for $3. It's like awesome. I make $1.50 off of that. Well, now I want to make $2. So now I'm going to bump it up an extra dollar. Well, now I want to make $3. I'm going to bump it up. And so the price of that goes up. And I think it's the same concept for fucking houses. It's like, not to give away anybody, but I knew somebody who bought a fucking house right before COVID to be built. Yeah. And they couldn't start building until after COVID. And by the time they bought the materials, the price of wood tripled. But but the thing is, they were contracted into an agreement of what they bought the house for here. So they had to build that house, and they had to eat the price difference of the fucking wood. Like, I want to get into woodworking. I want to build shit again. And I built shit out of fencing boards, because they were a little bit cheaper and they were the same normal height and it was decent wood, and I could stain it, any way I want.
Sure.
But when I was doing it, it was $1.18 a fucking plank. Now it's $4.
Right.
And all it is fucking wood. It's a tree that they chopped into pieces to sell. But because people had to make more money to do it, and the people who were selling it wanted to make more fucking money from Menards or Home Depot, now Menards or Home Depot had to increase their prices because their distributor or supplier increased their prices. It's they're arbitrary fucking numbers.
Pretty much.
That we are like, oh, well, who decides how much an egg is? Well, the person supplying the eggs. Milk, same thing. Houses, same thing. Cars, same thing. It's like if you just said, hey, listen, you could buy this fucking Chevy Impala. All our fucking cars, $48,000-$50,000 a year. But these Impalas, 18 fucking grand. Brand new, fully loaded. 16 grand. It's doable, but they won't make the money they want to make off of it.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? So there was in the 1970s, there's a guy named Jack Welch who basically started a series of not just lawsuits, but company cultures of making it all about profit for the shareholders. And so now there is a legal obligation for corporations to make money for their shareholders first, and then everyone else second, third, fourth. And so the employees are last, which is why your average employee is never going to get as much money as they deserve for their labor, because the company doesn't care about them. The company's job isn't to care about their employees. The company's job is to make money for the shareholder. And so on the other side of that, the person who gets best compensated for that, because they're the ones who make the decisions and are hired to not make the decisions necessarily, but to give the company the vibe that they want to have to make the most money for shareholders, is the CEO. And so like from, I want to say 1980 to now, CEO pay went from like, I want to say it was like 10 or 30 times the same amount of money that the average employee made, to, I think it's like 350 times what the average employee makes.
I believe it.
So like you'd have to revert that. You'd have to revert to prior to the 1970s, businesses ran for their employees because like you should be, right? If your employees can afford to eat, they're going to spend money in their community, and that's going to improve the entire community. And people are more productive when they're happy. People are they make more money for the business, and they work harder and do all these things better if they can afford to eat and be comfortable and take a vacation and stuff. Like all of the data says that everything is better when the employees are paid better. And we just don't have even if we had the culture for it, legally businesses can't do that the way that they used to, because starting in the 1970s, it became illegal to put your employees first under the normal way businesses run. So like shareholders could sue if they wanted for not being put first.
Yeah,
So that's the tough thing.
Yeah.
And there are answers. I mean, you could nationalize things. Unions are a great answer to things. But if you look at like there's this phrase going around called greedflation, which I think is, even though I think it's accurate, it's a stupid word. I'm so sick of these stupid words being coined. But yeah, like one of the reasons that I want to say Walmart, Target, Amazon Foods, and Whole Foods are all cutting prices by 30% because they finally realized they're charging too much. So they could have cut it at any time. They didn't raise the prices because their employees are too expensive. They didn't raise the prices because of supply line issues. They didn't raise the prices because of any reason other than they thought they could charge you more, and so they did. And so to get back to that 1940s thing, there needs to be legislation that regulates things and says like a CEO can make 10 times what the lowest paid employee can make. But if they make more than that, like they should be fined. The company should be fined.
Yes.
If they, and maybe 10% is too low. I don't know. I just picked 10% because that seems reasonable to me. A CEO makes 10 times what the lowest paid employee makes sense to me. Like that seems reasonable. If it needs to be 20, if it needs to be 30, that's fine. Maybe his work is worth that. I don't think so, because they have a tax write-off for a 3-hour martini lunch or a 3-martini lunch. Yeah. And I don't get a tax break for anything like that. If I'm just a guy at Walmart, at McDonald's or whatever, but yeah. Anyway,
oh yeah.
It's just,
even
there's
at
so
McDonald's
many things that they have to do. And
even at McDonald's, you take a fucking lunch break, you only get a certain amount of money off your fucking meal that you order.
Right.
You don't get the whole thing off. You only get like maybe half of it. You still got to pay half.
Yeah.
It's like, come on now.
There should be a tax break for that. If you got to pay your employee, I mean, let alone you shouldn't be charging your employees to eat. But
yeah, it's insane. Some places are a fucking joke. It'd be nice whoever takes charge next year to find a way to just make shit better. It's like I said, I don't know the exact reason why everything is the way it is right now. But it's definitely not the best economy that I have lived through, at least right now. Right. There have been moments where I felt things have been better, and we can talk more about this as we go through. I mean, November is just around the corner, and
we're 53 days from the Democratic Convention, 151 days, I believe, from the election.
Yeah. So, but in the meantime, Joe, outside of everything, what are you freaking thinking about?
What am I freaking thinking about? Man, I mean, my immediate thought, because we're already talking about politics, is politics. I've been a total Twitter junkie for like 2 weeks now, and it's bad. I know it's not good for me. It's particularly bad for me because so one of the reasons I don't like either of these guys is because of what's happened in Israel and Gaza, and I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want to put images in people's heads that they don't need there. But frankly, maybe I'll say it this way. That way it's the nicest way I can put it. I don't care who's right and who's wrong. I care who is killing children. And I have seen too many dead kids, like on video, and that's where I'm at. Yeah. So it's I just that's where I'm at, like thinking about politics and stuff, and it's hard to walk away from that. It's hard to just do something fun and like relax and stuff. So I don't know. Anyway, what are you freaking thinking about?
Well, now I'm freaking thinking about that.
Yeah. I could bring it back up. We're also our board meeting is tomorrow as we record to talk about some of the first and second big changes we're making to our sanctuary. Awesome.
Good to hear that.
And improve the lighting.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, man. Hope it goes well for you. Keep me updated on that.
Thank you.
I'm thinking a lot about I was thinking about grandmas. Yesterday was Grandma D's birthday.
Yes.
So happy belated Grandma D birthday. I totally forgot to text her yesterday, and I'm going to do that here this morning and text her happy belated birthday. But I've been talking to Ashley a lot about my grandma out in Arizona and trying to figure out a way to motivate her to move out here. I get that she loves Arizona and everything, but her family is out here. And I know her and my cousin's wife, or my cousin, but my cousin's wife, they both want her to be out here. And they both have kids, and they both want to see more of grandma. So they want to they want to encourage her to move out here. And I told her, like, well, Mom and Heather tried to do it. It didn't really pan out well, but that's because they're more hard-headed, and I don't think they went the right way about it. So let's find a better way to do it. And I was like, I will help, because I feel the same way. I'm not opening my door to her to live here. I don't want that. Right. Yeah. I want her to be here, and everyone feels the same way. So I've been thinking a lot about what grandma needs to hear in order to give that, hey, this is what needs to happen. Because the thing is, like she's getting up there in age and shit. It was no different than, where Grandma D and Grandpa Wayne, moved to Indiana. It's like you get to a certain time, in your life where it's like you need to be around family who can be there for you. Because if something is to happen to her out in Arizona, there's no immediate family out there. It's like, and the cost of flying ain't fucking cheap. So it's like, so now you gotta book yourself a flight and pay. It's just easier, I think, for everybody. And maybe it's selfish to say easier for us if she moves here, but I get that she loves Arizona, she hates winters and all that stuff. I can understand that, but she has, as far as I know, at least 4 great grandchildren.
Yeah, but don't worry. No matter who you vote for, winter is going to be warmer in the future. So
yeah. Well,
it won't be dry though.
Last year was, I think, the hottest year in history or whatever like that. I guess in recorded history, but I'm assuming this year's gonna be no different. I know the last week has been dog shit. This weekend's not supposed to be that bad. I think thunderstorms mostly.
Yeah, today's 90. Tomorrow is 60s.
Yeah. Goofy shit. It was 90 all fucking week, and then yesterday was like 75. So it's insane. But just thinking about grandmas mostly. So
gotcha. Yeah, that would be nice. I got a grandma down in the south suburbs who I wish she lived closer to me.
Yeah. I would love, and plus I keep saying I'm gonna go out there for spring training, and maybe I will do that next year if she doesn't move here. But hey Joe.
Yeah.
Every week, our listeners can catch Cartoon Joe here on This Freakin' Show. But if an hour of Cartoon Joe just isn't enough for our listeners, where can they go?
If you need more Cartoon Joe, you can find me over at the Geekcast Live podcast at violentpress.com. You can also find us on Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and Twitter at Geekcast Live.
Excellent. Guys, make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freakin' Show. You can listen to us wherever you pick up your podcast at. Just search us, subscribe to us, give us a rating and review if asked. I know Apple Podcasts ask for ratings reviews. Please do that over there. But you subscribe to Spotify, I guess YouTube Podcasts, Amazon, wherever you listen to podcasts, we're there. If you want to watch us, you go over to Freaknet Studios YouTube channel. Subscribe there, and you can watch our podcast over there. And if you go to the feature section of our YouTube channel, you can see all of our Freaknet Studio brethren that we have come together with over the past year. The Power Hour, Lovely Intoxicated Podcast, Fourth Mother Box, Jedi Talk, JFW. They're all over there. All their channels are right there on our YouTube channel, so make sure you go check them out as well. So, guys, that's all I got. As always, I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freakin' Show. I'm out.